Hi, I'm Alex Latremouille, and you're watching Mediaplex Live at 1. It seems when we experience cold weather, the incidence of fire increase. To talk about this, today's guest on 3 Minutes With is Windsor's fire chief.
Hi, my name is Dan Gray, and I'm here with Windsor Fire and Rescue Services Chief Bruce Montone for 3 Minutes With. I'm looking at the cold weather and knowing that you had to fight 2 fires recently at the same time. What's the different problems that can be occurring at a accident scene or at a fire scene when you have to deal with the cold weather on top of the fire?
Sure. Well, clearly we use water to put out the fire, and so when you mix water in very cold weather, you're going to get ice. And so that in itself causes us all kinds of challenges relative to the stability of our footing. Placing equipment is always a challenge. And then, of course, as you pour water into the burning building and are successful in putting the fire out, you kind of are building a bit of an ice castle. So then, in terms of determining cause, origin, and circumstance, it very much adds to a very long length of time by the time we thaw things out and get the water and ice removed so that we can actually get down to business and start to examine the scene.
Going down how far it's progressed before you get there, how do you deploy to a fire? Call the house fire on Windsor Avenue. You get that call at 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
What's your first steps? How do you go to a rescue call?
Okay, so all of our responses are based on the risk. In other words, what type of building are we responding to? What is the potential for threat to life? What impacts will fire have on the building and in what period of time? So example, a very old building like yesterday versus a very new building. Newer buildings are built with what's called lightweight construction, and although they're structurally very, very sound, when fire impacts lightweight construction, for example, we can have main structural failure in as little as 10 minutes.
So after it's all said and done, fires out, etc., you've been calling, a lot of people hear the Ontario Fire Marshal's been called in.
Right.
What are the reasons for the Ontario Fire Marshal being called into a scene, and what do they do once they get there?
Okay, so it's actually a partnership, and in most municipalities like ours here in Windsor, you have 3 parties involved. You have the fire service that is mandated by law to determine cause, origin, and circumstances of every fire. Then one of our partners, the Office of the Fire Marshal, they have a legislative mandate, and they must be called, and they will respond when there's a fatality, when it's a large loss, so more than $500,000, when there's a gaseous explosion, or if we suspect arson. So those are the criteria when the Office of the Fire Marshal would be called in. And then, of course, our third partner is Windsor Police. So once cause is determined, or we can determine that it looks like a crime has been committed, then we will involve our third partner, Windsor Police. And it's done in cooperation with each other.
So, knowing all of what we've talked about, what are just a few tips that you would give people to deal with something that you'd worry about in the wintertime that might cause a fire, that not so much in the summertime?
Relative to cold weather, this time of year with these excessively cold temperatures, people always want to supplement the heating system that they have. So space heaters are brought out, those kinds of things. They like to curl up on the couch or in their most comfy chair with a blanket or maybe that Afghan that Grandma made us. And what often happens is that space heater is too close to combustibles, other things that will burn. So maybe the chair itself or the blanket that you're using is just a little too close to that space heater, and eventually it's going to ignite those things that are too close to it.
Thank you for your time this morning. My name's Dan Gray. This has been 3 Minutes with Windsor Fire and Rescue Services Chief Bruce Montone.
Turning to weather today, we will have a mix of sun and clouds with a high of -14. Tonight, expect some scattered flurries at -12 degrees. Tomorrow it will be a little warmer, getting up to -3, but it will come with snow. If you would like to take a tour of our fabulous Mediaplex, then you are invited to join us on Saturday, March the 28th. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., you can meet us and just check out our school. We hope to see you there. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Alex Latremouille, and you've been watching Mediaplex Live at 1.